commit to you.
Right.
So
like it's not as serious.
Okay. So now
what was the second one?
The second one was, this one will be easy. No talking to exes except for.
Okay. Yeah. That's just like, you don't have to hate your ex.
Right.
But what's the point? Like, if you still want to be in communication with a person that you had a romantic relationship with, it makes me feel like you're trying to keep a spark of that there.
Right.
Or like, have it as another out or something like that. Like, obviously, like you said, if you like are co-parenting, that's way different. You have to be in communication with your ex or the parent of your children, even if you're not married or whatever. But it's just, you don't have to hate them. It's kind of like the friend thing. You don't have to like be like, F you friends, like guy friends, bye. Like, you can still respect them and care about them in a different way without having them involved in your life. Like, it's just going to hold your relationship that you're in now back. If you're now introducing or keeping around the past in your present. Does that make sense?
Plus, romantic relationship equals friendship plus sexual desire. That's
true.
If you've got someone that you had sexual desire for, I mean, there's no reason to think that you don't now, and now you have friendship with them, why aren't you actually in a relationship with them? You see what I'm saying? Like, if you could have been the reason why is because you're volatile, because it's a toxic relationship, because it's not the one for you. But that's
even the worst to keep around, because you'll forget the bad, and then you'll be like, but it was good, those few times.
Yeah.
And then you might want to go back.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people who do go back to the toxic relationships are like, oh, I forgot all about the crap. But the whole point is, you're right. Like, this is a pretty simple one. It's like, you don't have to hate them. You don't have to talk shit about them. But you do have to let that part of your life go. Like, you have to let a lot of like your past go in life. And that's the same with relationships. Like, it doesn't have to be any ill will, but you have to let it be the past, and you can't bring it to your present, or it'll just be messy. And
a lot of times women, I think it's more so that they want to communicate with the exes because they're like, well, we're friends now, because they want to be, they friend zone guys. They're like, now we can be friends, and I don't want it to ruin our friendship type of situation. But however, the thing the way I like to flip it is, women might be fine with it, thinking, okay, well, I can talk to my ex and you could talk to your ex. But if the man's ex was a swimsuit model, or like, all of a sudden, I don't think she would be fine with it. And so it's the same thing. It's like, I just use that as
it doesn't matter, to be honest. Even if she's not a swimsuit model, it's not respectful.
It's not respectful no matter what. I'm just saying that sometimes women that are resistant to this can see it when they think of that.
Well, I think they just... like, women in general, when they're done, they're pretty much done. Whereas men, they might make a like rash decision and then a week later be like, oh, I messed up, and then try to get that thing back. Whereas like when women are done, they're pretty much done. I'm not saying that that's not the case all the time, but I think that's why women probably think, oh, I can be this person's friend because my feelings have totally shut down, but that doesn't mean the other person's has.
But it also doesn't mean that they can't be reignited too, because
that's true.
I don't know how many times, again, like I said, I've been coaching guys for 10 years, and oh my God, how many stories of, oh, she just hung out with her ex, and then, we were having a fight, and then she stayed the night over there. Boom.
Well, the whole thing with the ex thing too is that it's comfortable. And people like comfort.
Yeah.
And again, another topic for another day. So let's move on to number three, because we'll run out of time.
Okay. Number 3 was locations.
Okay. This is just dumb to me that people don't just do it. Because as a woman, if you're going on a first date, you're sending your mom, your immediate best friends, your location, this guy's name, his phone number, in case you get abducted and murdered. So like, the fact that you don't want to give your partner, the person you're in a relationship with, like a committed relationship, because you said you would bring up these boundaries once it's official. Your location, like it's because it's coming from, rather than a place of like, oh, well, if I give him my location, if I'm in trouble, he'll know where I am. Or if I'm like, running behind. He can see I'm still at the grocery store and that's why I'm late for dinner or something like that.
That's practical.
Like that's how people who look at this, like, why would you not do it? But it's the people who are like, again, kind of like trying to view it through like a controlling lens of like, oh, well, why does he need to see everywhere that I am? I'm like, why are you hiding it? Like, why are you afraid that he sees you at Michael's? Is he going to yell at you for buying more craft supplies? Like, that's also a problem.
It depends on what Michael's it is.
Oh my gosh. The craft store, sir.
Well,
but
Michael's crafty too.
But what I'm saying is like, it just doesn't, that doesn't make sense to me. I mean, this is coming from somebody who my own mother was like, why do you need my location?
Well, and I'm like, she gets into some trouble.
She used to go get turned up when I lived in Florida, and I needed to know where she is for her safety, not because I'm like, Mom, like, I'm like, you don't live in Florida. I need to know where you are in case I need to come get you.
Yeah.
But so that's the thing. It's like, I just view it as that. That's how I've always used it with my friends. How I've tried to use it with my mom, but she refuses. And so why wouldn't I want the one person who's supposed to be like there to come help me out if I'm in trouble to not know where I am?
Yeah, it's a practice. And again, a lot of these rules or boundaries are for both parties' protection. Right. Because, look.
I use it for you when you go running.
Right.
And I do use it.
Well, besides the practical, right? I think also it's just being transparent, which all of these things are being transparent, right? It's like, and being transparent means, hey, I have nothing to hide all the time.
And you can't have intimacy. I'm going to stress this. I'm going to look in the camera right now. You cannot have intimacy without honesty.
That's
and
true.
What is honesty? Essentially, transparency.
There we go. Yeah, I like the connection.
So,
and then the other thing about this is that it's also for your own protection. When I say you, I mean the person who's turning their location on. Because look, hey, people are humans. Sometimes they make, most of the things that happen come from mistakes, right? So if you know that, guys, if you know that your location is on and being broadcast, then what's going to happen, if you did think, oh, I'll just go over to the titty bar.
Oh, hell no.
You're not going to do it because right? And so it is for your own protection, to protect yourself from doing something you don't want to do.
Right.
Right? Because you're creating
you're making
accountability.
It harder on yourself. Well, and so there's no excuse. Like guys can have some self-control.
Right.
So
no.
But
I'm just saying
understand where you're coming from, that they're more inclined to do something like that. Like women are not going to be like, oh, I'm going to go to the Magic Mike strip club tonight, because there's not.
Club.
I mean, he comes into town every once in a while, I'm sure, to puts on a show. But again, that's a whole nother conversation. But what I'm saying is like, that isn't as readily available for women. It's not really what they want.
No, but it's other things.
It is a temptation for guys. And so what you're saying is that it does lessen that, because you don't want to go and do those type of things or hurt your partner. Or
exactly.
They can see what you're doing. So,
and this is why it's a protection for the relationship. And this is why, like I said, a guy that's leading the relationship, which he should be implementing things to protect the relationship. For whether sometimes a woman might not agree with it because she might not understand, but she should have enough trust to say, well, if my man, who I trust, is saying this and is putting these boundaries in place, I'm going to follow them, even if I don't necessarily agree with them. I know this is, people are choking right now, but it's fun. But that it's not about ego. It's about, do you actually trust this person? And do you want a man to lead you? Like, you know what I mean? If you don't, that's fine. But I think that things work much better in a relationship in that way.
Well, and see, the issue really would be with these type of boundaries is if a man puts this out there, but he isn't going to uphold the same boundaries, like, and do the same things and treat you with the same respect. Because I know men value respect, but so do women. And it needs to be on the same level. That's why it's like, you can't be like, you can't have guy friends, but I'm going to go out with my girlfriend to a movie because she wants to watch it and we've been friends since we were 12. Like, that's not, it's not acceptable when it doesn't go both ways.
And it's about voluntarily agreeing to these things, right? To do, again, it should be a standard, right? As a man, I would tell another man, like, if a woman won't voluntarily agree to these things, do not get into committed relationship with her because that's a problem.
Well, it's a problem mostly because you're not on the same page and the relationship's not going to work out. Like, ultimately, at the end of the day, don't get in a committed relationship with someone you're not compatible with. Right. And like, if they don't want to have a relationship like this, then that's their choice.
Well, okay, but I'll push back slightly on that though, because sometimes you might not be on the same page. Because what point is leadership if you're always on the same page? Then you don't really need a leader.
But what I'm saying,
you need a leader for when you're not on the same page.
What I'm saying is, if she's not going to follow your lead anyway, when is she going to follow your lead?
No, that's true. That's true.
So let her go,
right?
And you'll find somebody that does want to follow your lead.
Right. So you're saying by on the same page, you're not saying that she necessarily agrees 100% with everything, but she's willing to do the things.
No, I think if you explain it the way that we're explaining it, then she should. Well, like if she respects you and values you and trusts you to the level, she'll do.
I agree.
It'll be this way.
In this case, she should. I think there are going to be some circumstances in relationships where the woman might not necessarily agree with what the guy's decision is, but then that's the point of leadership, is that someone has to make a decision.
Well, we'll have to do a whole thing on leadership too. Okay. I mean, like there's so many topics. But okay, what was the fourth one? How many did you have? 5?
It was like 6, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So the fourth one was the sharing phone passwords. We could say email. I mean, if you're married, you should share your email and all of the stuff.
Well, you're becoming one. So yeah, it's all
people don't share their email accounts that are married. They don't have access to each other's bank accounts or any of their personal information or their phones. I mean, it's a shock to me, but that's a majority of people, actually. A majority.
I won't even dive too much into that because it just sounds more of like a roommate that but
let's talk about phone passwords.
I mean, this is like, again, it goes back to the transparency. Like, if you're doing things you're not supposed to be doing, you're worried about this stuff. If you're not, and you're really happy in your relationship and you trust the person and you respect them, you could go through my phone right now, the whole thing, and I have no problem. And I could go through your phone. And so it's like, I guess I just don't get, I understand, I don't know. Cause also people are like privacy, but it's like, what is private? And like you mentioned when you first said all the things, like you're not, if someone's going through your phone every day, they don't trust you. But like you should have the option and it should be open, cause it's just about being open. Like it's about giving them this to be totally transparent with your partner, not to be like, hey, give me your password. It should be more of like, here's my phone password. Here's my email. You might need to answer a text message for me while I'm driving or hey, can you check? I mean, I know with us, we tried to do this credit card thing with a bunch of points and you can get into my email so that you can handle that thing for me. So I don't have to do it. And it's like,
or even if you did, even if you had felt like, oh, I feel like they're up to something. Let me check. I mean, you shouldn't, but people are human and you might feel like that. And then you're like, okay, well, I can go and look.
And I've done that with John. I have had that moment, but it's not he didn't give me his email and I'd be like, it was in a point in our relationship
but you could,
where I was feeling anxious about something. And so I tried to figure things out for myself. And I want to be open and transparent with the people who are watching this because it's I'm not telling you all this because I didn't make mistakes or I haven't done the things this is why we're here. But it's also that didn't cause us, you weren't now I'm not going to let you in my email anymore, you know?
In fact, it's okay. I mean, you could, if you said, I just want to check your email, I wouldn't even be offended one bit because if you feel that for some reason, I want to comfort you. I want you to not have to have that feeling, to have a total, And I would think it would be likewise in relationships. People should want to, if someone is having a problem, even if it's their own problem, even if they have some insecurity from themselves and it has nothing to do with your behavior, wouldn't you want to
comfort your partner?
Right. Be like, hey, look through my phone. I I know this is embarrassing for you that you feel like you want to look through my phone. So let me make it as easy as possible. I'm not offended. Look through my phone. Right. I know that sounds weird to say, but if you care about someone, that's how it is. And that, again, this same thing comes down to the protection of yourself as well. Because if you know your partner has your phone password, are you going to be looking up porn sites on your phone? Are you going to be doing these things that you're not supposed to be doing on your phone? Messaging people you're not supposed to be messaging? You're not. Even if they're not looking at your phone, you know that they could.
I mean, I think even if you're thinking about that stuff, that's like danger zone. But you can't know for sure. So, but what I'm saying is that, I don't, again, it's, to me, it's like the location. It's like all the other stuff. It's transparency. It's openness. It's being honest. Right. Because that's, again, you can't have a close connection. You can't have the relationship you want without that.
Right. Better than